Hey everybody, Juan here, and today we're going to take a quick look at the video quality of the camera on the Samsung Galaxy Note 2. So right off the bat, this is a very similar camera module to the one that's used in the Galaxy S3, and that means we're also going to be very impressed with the camera module that's built into the Galaxy Note 2. As with most smartphone cameras these days, jumping into daylight tests, these cameras are performing very, very well. As you can see here, detail, clarity, color, they're all very well represented by the camera module in the Galaxy Note 2. I have noticed that with most smartphone cameras these days, there is the slight tendency to overexpose, which I think kind of washes out color. I have not adjusted exposure for any of these videos, but I find that with you Galaxy owners, if you stop down just a half stop, maybe even less, maybe a third of a stop, that you get much better contrast, which I think helps represent the scene a little more accurately. And now into a transition test going from a bright scene to a shaded scene to a dark scene. Very even, smooth. I really like the transitions as the camera is adjusting exposure. It's not as aggressive as an HTC camera. I like that it gives you a second before it blooms out, and it's less likely you'll blow out or clip bright scenes. Though I have noticed that as you transition from extreme light to a very, very dark scene, that the camera's focus will sometimes hunt. It won't know what to lock onto. But that's sort of a minor critique in that it's not often that you'll make that kind of a transition while shooting video. And of course, the ever popular street scene. I think the camera's done a phenomenal job of exposing for vehicles on the ground and still keeping the color of the sky. This was a little earlier in the day than I usually like to shoot these videos. So you can see a little flare on the lens element, but I don't think it's overly problematic. And the camera's doing an excellent job of tracking movement. It's very crisp, it's very detailed. Thankfully, it's not hunting too much, but when it does lock on to focus to an object closer, it does so relatively quickly before then focusing back out on the CVS sign in the distance. All in all, just a very high quality video for, especially for daylight recording. Now, this camera has some really fun tricks up its sleeve, and playing with the high speed recording and the slow motion recording is a lot of fun. This is 8 times normal speed for fast forward, and fast forward will maintain 1080p. Moving into slow motion, because you have to shoot so much more material to get a good slow motion video, your slow motion resolution is dropped down to 720 by 480. Now, first up at 1/4 speed, the camera's still doing a really good job of maintaining detail in the scene, even though we're no longer shooting HD. Now this is 720 by 480. What we'll see here in just a second is moving into an even more extreme slow motion. Not only is the resolution problematic at 720 by 480, but I also don't think that each individual frame retains as much information, and lines get a lot jaggier. Color looks a little more washed out, and the scene just isn't quite as pleasant. At 1/8 speed, I think the image is a little too degraded to use for anything other than just the novelty of shooting something super slow motion. And I have to say, both the slow motion and the high speed photography settings on this are extremely fun to play with. The Note 2 is an absolute monster because even though the image is severely degraded at the 1/8 speed setting, to fill out video that slow, this little camera module is bursting 240 frames per second, which is just unbelievably incredible performance for a phone. It's just, I've never seen anything like it. And now getting into some low light photography, first up with just our bookshelf test. I'm actually very thankful that rather than producing overly noisy images, Samsung has just decided to allow the camera module to completely underexpose the frame. It still retains a little information. It's kind of hard to see here, but there's still the ability to sort of make out some detail on what's happening. This is the first camera module where I've really wanted to test its nighttime photography capabilities as well, giving it some street light, ambient lighting, and taking it back outside to my normal traffic spot. And it's still maintaining 30 frames per second. Often in the past, a lot of smartphones would dial back performance down to something ridiculous like 15 frames per second just to help fill out the additional light. And the camera module is able to keep up. The image is a little noisy. It's a little soft because of the noise reduction that I'm sure that the codec is going through. But ultimately, it's still a very high quality image considering it's from a camera that's bolted onto the back of a giant phone. All in all, I'm very impressed with where Samsung has been going with camera tech on this current generation of Galaxy phones. This is performance that far exceeded what I thought a little phone module would be able to do. So thanks for watching, guys, and check in with yourtechreport.com, where I'll have a full review of the Galaxy Note 2 posted soon, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.